SBA Publications.
Hello, dear students. How are you all? I hope that you're doing very nice and enjoying your literature studies. Today, we are going to start our chapter number 14, and the name of our chapter is The Dusk. So, let's get started. Norman Godsby sat on a bench in a corner of the Hyde Park, with his back to a fenced area of grass planted with bush. It was dusk, about 30 minutes past 6 on an early March evening. The atmosphere was a mixture of failing daylight, pale moonlight, and light from the street lamps a little distance away. So it's the time of the dusk, that means the sun is setting and the night is about to come. On the bench by his side sat an elderly gentleman. He had the expression of a defeated person who refused to admit his defeat. His clothes were neither expensive nor new. As he got up to go, Godsby imagined him to be a man in whom no one was particularly interested, either at home or outside. As his fingers disappeared slowly into the shadow, his place on the bench was taken almost immediately by a young man, fairly well dressed but not more cheerful than the man who had sat there before. So this man, Godsby, sitting on a bench. First, an elderly man was sitting next to him. After that, when he left, another young gentleman sat next to him. As if to emphasize the fact that he was deeply troubled and unhappy, the newcomer uttered a curse or two as he threw himself into the seat. So this young man was very upset, and while sitting, he uttered one or two curses out of his mouth while sitting. You don't seem in a very good temper, said Gosby, judging that he was expected to show sympathy. The young man turned to him with a look of great frankness, which put Gosby instantly on his guard. So Gosby says that you don't seem in a very good temper. What does the man say? He says, "You wouldn't be in a good temper if you were in the fix that I am in," he said. "I have done the silliest thing I've ever done in my life." So he says that he is in a fix and that's why he is in this mood. And if Godsby was in this fix, he would be as upset as he is. Fix means to be in a dilemma, to be in a confusion, okay? Yes, Godsby without much enthusiasm. I came up to London this afternoon, intending to stay at the Pan- Patagonian Hotel in Berkshire Square, continued the young man. When I got there, I found that the hotel had been pulled down some weeks ago and a cinema theatre had been put in its place. So he came to live in a hotel and then he finds out that the hotel has been transformed into a theatre. The taxi driver recommended me another hotel some way off and I went there. I had just sent a letter to my people giving them the address and then I went to buy some soap. I'd forgotten to pack and I hate using hotel soap. Then I strolled about a bit, had a drink at a bar, and looked at the shops. And when I thought of turning my steps back to the hotel, I suddenly realized that I didn't remember its name or even the street it was in. So he forgot in which hotel he was staying at. Now that's a nice situation for a fellow to be in who hasn't any friends or connections in London. I'm without any money, came out with only a shilling on me, which went in buying the soap and the drink. So here I am wandering about with 2 pence in my pocket and nowhere to go for the night. So this is the situation of this man. He forgot where he checked in this day and then he bought some soap and drink and now he has no money and no friends and nowhere to go. There was meaningful pause after the story had been told. I suppose you think I've made up an impossible cock and bull story for you, said the young man presently in a hurt voice. Not at all impossible, said Gosby carefully. I remember doing exactly the same thing once in a foreign city, and on that occasion there were two of us. Luckily, we remembered that the hotel was on a sort of a canal. So when we came across the canal, we were able to make our way back to the hotel. So now Gosby says that no, I believe you, that what you are telling me is true, and once the same thing happened to me. But somehow he was able to find his way back to the hotel. The youth brightened up a little on hearing this. In a foreign city, I wouldn't mind so much, he said. One could go to one's consul and get the required help from him. Here in one's own land, one is far more helpless if one gets into a fix like this, unless I can find some decent chap to swallow my story and lend me some money. I seem likely to spend the night on the bank of the Thames. I am glad, however, that you don't think the story totally improbable. So he says, this young man says that he is expecting someone to lend him some money so that he can spend the night on Thames, and now he is glad that this man Godsby Godsby believes in his story. He threw a great deal of warmth into the last remark, as if perhaps to indicate his hope that Godsby himself might be such a decent chap. Of course, said Godsby slowly. The weak point of your story is that you can't show me the soap. Now Godsby says that you cannot show me the soap that you bought, so this is the weak point of your story. The young man sat forward hurriedly, felt rapidly in the pockets of his overcoat, and then jumped to his feet. I must have lost it, he muttered angrily. So now he says, oh. Then first he searches his pockets and then he says, oh, I must have lost the soap. To lose a hotel as well as a cake of soap on the same afternoon suggests willful carelessness, said Godsby. But the young man did not wait to hear the end of his remark. He hurried away down the path, his head held nigh, with an expression of well practiced anger and pride. It was a pity, thought Godsby to himself. The bit about going out to buy one's own soap was the one convincing part of the whole story, and yet it was just that little detail that brought him to the grief. If he had the brilliant forethought to provide himself with a newly bought cake of soap, he would have been a genius in his particular profession. So Godsby thinks that he is a fraud. With these thoughts, Godsby rose to go. As he did so, he gave a cry of surprise and anxiety. Lying on the ground by the side of the bench was a small packet. It had obviously fallen out of the young man's overcoat pocket when he threw himself down on the seat. In another moment, Godsby was rushing along the half dark path, anxiously looking for a youthful figure in a light overcoat. He had nearly given up the search when he caught sight of the young man standing uncertainly on the border of the road, evidently trying to decide which way to go. So now Godsby, when he gets up to go, he finds a cake of soap, a new packet, lying on the ground, and then he gets worried that, oh, the man was saying the truth. He was telling the truth. Now he starts looking for the man, and when he was losing hope to be able to find him, he finds him. So when he finds him, he sees that the boy is worried and he is thinking which way to go. When Gosby called him, he turned sharply with an expression of challenge. The important witness to the truth of your story has now appeared. So Gosby said that I have found the evidence, that I have found the witness of your story, said Gosby, holding out the cake of soap. It must have slipped out of your overcoat pocket when you sat down on the seat. I saw it on the ground after you left. You must excuse my earlier disbelief. But appearances were really rather against you. And now, if the loan of sovereign is anything good to you, the young man replied by taking the coin hastily and pocketing it. Here is my card with my address, continued Gosby. You can return the money any day this week. And here is the soap. Don't lose it again. It's been a good friend to you. Lucky thing, you're finding it, said the youth. And then, as if finding it difficult to speak, he uttered a word or two of thanks and hurried away in the direction of Knightsbridge. Poor boy, he nearly broke down, said Gosby to himself. I am not surprised it must have been such a great relief to him. It's a lesson to me not to be too clever in judging people by circumstances. So what happens here? Gosby finds the boy, he gives him back his soap and he gives him some money, and also he gives him his card with his address written on it. As Godsby walked back to his seat in the park, he saw an elderly gentleman looking and feeling with his hands beneath the bench and all around it. Godsby recognized him as the man who sat there before the young man. Have you lost anything, sir? He asked. Yes, sir, a cake of soap. So that young boy was actually a liar, and the old man sitting on the bench before him was actually the owner of the packet of soap. So Godsby is being actually fooled. So that was the chapter. Now let's read the vocabulary. Brighten means looked happier. Cock and bull story means a story that is unlikely to be true but is used as an excuse. Consul is government representative living in foreign city to help countrymen. Fix is a difficult situation. Forethought is careful planning in advance. Frankness is open and direct behavior. On his guard means careful and prepared for something difficult. Shilling is a British coin, now it's not in use. Sovereign means British gold coin worth £1 and now it's rarely used. Willful is intentional. So that's it for today. Now we have this exercise which you have to do by yourself. I hope you enjoyed the chapter and you again got a lesson to learn. That's it for today. I will see you soon with another interesting chapter. Till then, keep on learning. Bye bye.